The story commences with several locations on Earth emitting a blue beam. With the birth of new magicians and monsters, the world will witness the awakening of a monster. One day, a bright light fell upon the Earth, covering it. The world was pitted against an unknown threat, dungeons. The whole world saw the lights appear everywhere at once, on every continent, in every city. The dungeons released a strange energy, one that transformed people on a genetic level. People then started glowing across the world. This irradiation imbued them with abilities that took them to the top of this new world. But at the same time, monsters came into the world and planned to devour everything. But there was something else, even more dangerous than the monsters. Just after he was grabbed and thrown away, he realized that the monsters were none other than the humans themselves. A large shadow then grew behind the boy and grabbed him. Another monster then looked upon them and decided that it wanted the other half of him. After ripping him in two, he was then dropped to the ground bleeding everywhere. He then remembers the moment when people were just about the kind lot up until the last moment. Furthermore, he realized that he was just weak among the group, but at least he's still human. As he slowly dies, a woman speaks out loud and asks the guy why he just threw him off like that. She is then punched right in the face, and he says to her that they needed a sacrifice so they could survive. The guy wasn't expecting such a turn of events to ever occur. But what bothers him the most is how the woman isn't smiling like the rest of them, so he steps on her neck with his feet to show that she is inferior. He was then stopped by a brunette who told him that he had scared the woman and pissed herself. After that, as the rest of the group brushed each other off, they decided to move on to the next floor. The beaten woman was left crying on the floor with a mysterious figure whose eyes were shining red behind her, and then we see the dying boy's memories, where he was being bullied by other people, showing their true colors to him. After each exchanges their opinions, a mysterious message suddenly pops out in front of the boy. As it rattles wildly, he is left confused at this moment, and then immediately it tells him to wake up. He was then given the effect, frenzy. After that, a countdown starts. He then wakes up with glowing red eyes wondering why he's buried underground. A bit later, he digs himself up from the ground. And just after that, he's already facing a monster just waiting for him. He gets into running position, and then he dashes off straight to the monster. The monster also responded to this and began to attack him as well. Luckily, he was able to dodge it and managed to tear off its head from the body. After that, he turns his head and sees more of the monsters just standing there and watching him. Just after tearing the first monster down, the other monster in varying sizes storms towards the boy, and at the same time, he flickers and charges at them as well. He then ran past them at high speeds without even getting touched. Just a bit later, he reaches the red forest. After that, he fell down on his back just before the countdown ended and concluded the skill effect. And just after that, he flashbacks to his past. His whole childhood was spent in a seedy orphanage. At that time, he was just on his own. His disease was the reason he couldn't make friends. But one day a person showed up. There was this girl who reached out to him. But one unfortunate day, he lost her. He felt guilty about himself because he couldn't help the one person who looked after him. His disease then grew stronger than him, causing his life to fall apart. After that, everything became meaningless. And from then on, he realized that he had a defect that had been impairing him all his life, his insatiable hunger. It won't let him fill his stomach, and some people might think his disease is insignificant, but in his case, it has had such a major effect on his life that seeing a person eat from a trash can make him hungry. Due to the disease, his whole life was full of problems and he always sees disgust in other people's eyes. It doesn't matter whether the food is expensive or cheap, fresh or rotten. As long as it's food, it's equally wonderful for him. Over the years, he was bullied because of his condition, but he managed to suppress his hunger by reading books. His hunger didn't disappear, but he felt better and had more control over himself. At 17 years old, he finally got the opportunity to escape his nightmare and decided to attend a university on a budget. But he was not accepted since the classes were full. It turned out that knowledge alone was not enough to attend. Then he was suddenly offered to join another class, but he refused it. He got into another college hoping that his life would finally change, but nothing has happened, absolutely nothing. He thought that if he changed the environment and people around him, his life would also become different. But it was the same nonetheless. Everyone still looked at him with disgust and contempt. His second problem was a lack of money. He tried looking for a job and got lucky since he got to meet his first employer. The employer tells him that he will only take him on a trial basis since he doesn't have an employment record, but she will also be hiring him as a full-time employee if he succeeds. He will be working at the dairy station first. His employer's name was Linda. She was a generous person and frequently helped him throughout his work. We can see Linda right by the door talking to him about his work schedules. Behind the scenes, she also helped him with his rent and paperwork. He was grateful for everything she had done because everything that happened to him was just because of a simple moment when he accepted her invitation. Then we see Linda's comrades, who are currently waiting for her briefing about the newcomer. All of the members had their gear ready, and a guy introduces himself as Han to the newcomer. "Bro, I didn't even know why we did this, but hope you enjoyed." This is all for part 1 of the manhwa, and also there's no part 2 since the manhwa is axed. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a good day and peace.